Hey guys, and welcome to Monifactory Progression Log. I forget whatever it is. I didn't check before I started. I just felt like recording. I'm not gonna lie. Um, it's been a while. I am back. Am I feeling better? Mostly. I'm definitely a lot better than I was when I started. When I took a break, at this point, almost 2 months ago. I did say it was going to be at least a month, but it ended up being longer. Um, I just wasn't playing Minecraft for a while, and even when I was mostly okay, and I've been playing Minecraft a little bit the last couple of weeks, so I finally actually have something to show. Um, it has been a while, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the main big change. From what I remember, I probably should have reviewed the last video. But I actually ended up building a roof. Actually finished off this hand batch building. I'm using terracotta shingles from Quark. I really liked this color. I didn't want to necessarily do a wooden roof, and I didn't want to use brick again. But I did want to use another color, and the terracotta ended up looking really well, looking really really good. And I got a lot of this stuff because it's just smelted clay. So that's not too bad because we already make clay as part of PPM line. I actually have a bunch of it just smelting back here. Let's see, that's for stone bricks, and then I have a bunch of terracotta back there and stuff. Um, I don't know if any of this stuff is new, but I have a huge slew of HV machines over here. I've had them for a while. Back over here in this little corner is a very bootleg basic ore processing system. I basically set this up for things like gallium, and that's pretty much it. I do toss other things in here from time to time, but it's mostly just for gallium. Um, I don't really need anything else. Most of the other base ingots are produced by DML, well, HNNN, not DML, but you know what I mean. So I don't really need ore processing for iron and gold and things like that. Over here, this is definitely new, is the on-demand area. The last time I played Monifactory, I started off with the passive route. I didn't build on-demand for quite some time. And the reason I decided to not do that this time is there's a lot of stuff that I want to craft and I'm fucking sick and tired of hand batching. Um, so I set up on demand, and that will allow me to build passive processes, and specifically build more intelligent passive processes and systems. Laser IO is my forever behated. I fucking hate Laser IO. Every time I have to deal with Laser IO, all you guys hear about me is bitching about how much I hate Laser IO. And that's because I fucking hate Laser IO. It sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. I built this PPM line over here, and the Laser IO network over here is barely able to keep up with it as it is. It took legitimately several hours for it to finally be able to keep up because of the way I distributes items and its behavior. It has to like fill up a machine before it'll fill up the next one, which meant the way it was working out meant that it was really difficult for it to actually fill out all the machines because it's supposed to be a just shy of perfect ratios. So it's awful. I hate Laser IO. I don't know. It's an item distribution mod that's fucking terrible at distributing items. Uh, the only thing it has going for it is it can be incredibly compact and is basically free to wire. It's not difficult to use. The problem is it just fucking doesn't perform. It fucking sucks. um, I have several more loot fabricators, mostly for iron and or glowstone. I set one up for platinum. I have one for gas tiers. I'll be using that to make salt water soon. You can make salt water in a chemical reactor, I believe. Yes. I could mix it with just salt, but I don't. You'd have to get salt water for this stuff or mine it. So, if I want to make it, this is the best way. It's slow as hell, but at least it's a little bit of chlorine. And at least until I get a better source of it, which I don't really know what the better source of chlorine is going to be. Um, I guess it would probably be like maybe like electrolyzing something like apatite or the various topaz crystals, I believe, give. No, those give fluorine. What am I talking about? Yeah. So, I know apatite gives chlorine, though. So, I mean, there's that, I guess. Let's see. Chlorine. Right, we can electrolyze. That we're... Raw platinum powder, that's recycling. Rock salt, I guess, but salt comes from salt water, so it's possible that I'll be able to find. Appetite gives you a little bit, but you'd have to mine that and stuff, and that's gonna be a nightmare. I don't have good ore processing yet. I mean, there's like salt and stuff, but that comes from salt water or also from mining. Um, Maybe you could try it. It's possible. Let's see, calcium chloride. What about all this stuff? Calcite, I guess. But it comes from salt again. So in the end, it's comes down to salt water effectively. So I remember the last time I played, we set up a fluid drill somewhere for salt water, which will probably be something I do eventually. I don't actually have ender tanks yet. Let's see. Okay, tank. I thought there were. Yeah, here they are. Ender tank. I don't have these yet. I actually could probably make these if I want to. So maybe I don't actually need to do this slow chemical recipe. This probably would not be too difficult. I have dark steel and stuff, so I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much, other than I thought I was gonna need gas tiers for something. Maybe I'll use them for something else. Um, Maybe I guess potassium and lithium don't matter either. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just stop making gas tiers. Well, over here, I actually fixed this. This was getting really annoying. I actually just moved this, and that's fine now. It's a little bit weird, but it works well enough. So, oh, another big thing over here, chemical processing. I had I have passive polyethylene as well as, well, actually, that's just passive polyethylene, and I guess oxygen as well. But that's part of passive polyethylene. The reason why this is a little bit scuffed is I should have left a space in here for a buffer ethylene tank for this advanced between these reactors, chemical reactors, because I want to make polyvinyl chloride, and that also requires ethylene. It's basically just let's see, vinyl chloride is just ethylene and chlorine. Um, so if I had I should have put a super tank in there for a buffer that I could access with a storage bus, but I didn't do that. So I had to drop this here. What are you doing here? Get out of here. Get out of here. Um, Yeah, so we have oxygen, polyethylene, sulfuric acid. This is a smart setup. Because I actually recycle a little bit of diluted sulfuric acid, I don't want this to be entirely full. So I have a fluid detector cover on this, and a machine controller cover on this one, and when this one's about 75% full, it turns off this chemical reactor. I could make it so it be a little bit more full, but also 3,000 buckets of sulfuric acid is enough at this stage of the game. And at the time when I'm going to be needing more than that in bulk, or more of that just as a buffer, I will be able to make a better system that's not with MV single block chemical reactors. So this will be just fine, and it means I won't have to waste a little bit of extra diluted sulfuric acid, which will be nice. I'll do a similar setup for hydrochloric acid probably. Um, I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of sources of hydrochloric acid in Monifactory. You get it as a byproduct of several different chemical processes. So when I did that, when I dealt with it in Monifactory, I mostly just electrolyzed all of it down, and then just had a specific area that made it, and then just electrolyzed byproduct stuff. But yeah. I have a pyrolyze oven over here. This just makes biomass so I can turn it into ethanol. I don't have petrochem yet. That is the next major thing to do. And then once I'm done with petrochem, I can actually probably repurpose this pyrolyze oven and pull this out and maybe reorganize some stuff in here and actually be able to move that. But that's a problem for later. Let's see, I've actually also started to dismantle, or I have the beginning of the petrochem area over here. I still am sort of planning out what exactly is going to be on this side of the base. At the very least, I'm going to have some petrochem areas. I am planning it out for up to fractioning distilleries as well. I want to make sure there's enough room for future-proofing in here. I'm still not exactly sure about how I will lay out the like regular distillation towers versus the fractioning, because the fractionings are 5x5, but the regulars are 3x3. So I don't know. But this should be probably enough room. Remember, I didn't need too big of a petrochem setup in Monifactory. It was only, I don't know, a handful of distillation towers. Um, I think it was. I could probably go a little bit harder into it. I do like petrochem. It looks cool and it's fun to set up. So, I might try and do all of it. You know, wood, charcoal byproducts and stuff, as well as we'll obviously be doing fermented biomass since that was really nice early game for methane and stuff, and it was really renewable. I'm also gonna do things like, oh, that means I'll need greenhouses as well. So I'm probably gonna terrace this hill a little bit and put some greenhouses and some stuff over here. Most of the old base, the original lawn base area has been removed. All of the machines have been removed. I still have all of these steam grinders and stuff, but none of them are gonna run anymore. I pulled out pretty much all of these boilers, and which means that I might move these. I might repurpose these. I probably will, honestly. They were really nice. I still don't know what that means in terms of ore processing. If I want to start setting up a real quote-unquote ore processing, unlike the little bootleg thing back there. The problem with doing ore processing with steam multis is they don't give you byproducts, and I'm at the stage where I would do ore processing for byproducts. Like copper, I don't care about copper. I DML that. Iron, I DML that. Redstone, I DML that. I guess there's some other stuff in here that might be nice. Like, I guess sodalite's a source of chlorine. That could be good. Silver, I DML that. Tricalcium phosphates for, I can DML, or I don't need that stuff. I think this is used for making things like glowstone, which I have. And then, obviously, I could electrolyze this, or centrifuge this for other things. But, yeah, fertilizer. Um, so, like, I don't really need a really robust ore processing at this stage right now. Um, I don't use things in bulk in large enough batches to warrant a powerful ore processing system. Of course, eventually that's going to change. Once I start getting into IV, the IV tier multis and stuff, then I will set up some ore processing, even at the very least, because I like ore processing. So, um, I'll definitely do that. That's just good stuff. Let's see, microverse. I mean, also we have access to the microverse eventually. I actually probably could set up a microverse pretty soon. I probably am actually gonna want petrochem up first, just so I can make the rocket fuel and other things like that. Um, and I'm not sure how I want to set all this stuff up. I'm not sure if I want to do this all on demand or attempt to do this passively again as well. I don't know. I do know that you actually get your miners back now. I think there's a chance for them to break or something like that, and you have to repair them, or maybe they removed that. I thought you had to like stabilize them or whatever to make it so you'd never um, stabilized. Oh, I think it's some of these ones that are these the ones that come back broken? Yeah, sometimes these come back damaged and you have to repair them. That's what they are. Okay, so not all of them. So that's going to be a really nice change. Not having to fucking uh, endlessly rebuild more microminers. That would be awful. God. So this might be a little bit more practical to just put on endless passive just for fun. Like I said, I like powerful ore processing systems, and having endless amounts of ore come in would be really nice because I really hated moving micro mining machines the last time I played Monifactory. Um, I mean, it's just a natural part of Greg Tech. I mean, obviously, I didn't have to do that in StarTech because StarTech didn't require that. But most GT packs make you do that. I also did that. I've actually done that in almost most of my modded Minecraft playthrough. I did it in ATM 9. I've moved miners on all of all the mod packs I've played, which was 6, 7. I didn't play 8, 9. Haven't played 10. I played 7 to the sky and 7 normal. Anyway, not a problem. So yeah, I like ore processing systems, and this will be fun to do, even for things that I don't need. Like iron, nickel, oxygen, I don't care, but I'll do it anyway because it's fun. And this stuff probably isn't all that expensive, yeah. Like glue? Oh, I guess you can use epoxy for this stuff, which will be probably what I end up using. It seems like they added some more chemicals and stuff at some point. I don't remember seeing ethyl cyanoacrylate. No, wait. I think I do actually remember this. I think I remember this during tank, and I hand batched a bucket of it. so I could tank it and then never made it again. Like I just slapped down a random LCR somewhere and just hand fed it until it was done. Um, there's no more tank, so I'm gonna have to make sure that when I build out an area for my LCRs, that it is exceptionally large. I won't be able to remove them, and I'm sure I'm gonna need absolute shitloads of them going forward. So, um, yeah, that also will apply to fusion, unfortunately, which is a much later problem. I mean, not even into EV yet, so I don't really care about fusion right now. But that's gonna not be fun. Fusion sucks. I've actually also started trying to neaten up my wiring tunnels down here as well. One of the things I dealt with in Monifactory was terrible wiring tunnels, and I hated it. I want my wiring tunnels to be a little bit nicer since I am going to be spending time down there, and I just want an overall nicer looking base. So it's just going to be pretty simple stuff. It's not going to be like crazy complex, just like stone bricks, terracotta, and then deep slate. Originally, I had my wiring tunnels like this, where they stepped up, so the ceiling was always the road. So they stepped up like this, and I hate this. I hate the way this looks. I hate the way this feels to travel. I want this to be all in the same plane, and I'm not sure if that means basements will just get deeper and deeper and deeper as buildings go up higher, or if they'll just have like eventually they'll just move up a certain instead of like going up a staircase one block at a time, if they'll just have like a vertical shaft. Like maybe every basement is like a certain XY tall, and if it's not, uh, then vertical shafts otherwise. Like I don't know if it needs to be this tall, but I guess 5 blocks worth of height is enough height to make sure that anything can be going on down here. And if I need to go down a floor, then I have a basement that I can reuse, I guess, or um, that would be an option, I suppose. So, I don't know. I haven't really decided yet too much. I was just doing a little bit of work and stuff, and in the end, I was just making the basements deeper on this side, but that was only like a block higher. On this end over here, it's obviously several blocks higher, which would be a very deep basement, something I'm not sure I want. So, I don't know. There's lots of work to be done. I'm glad I did finally, I'm glad I started working on the nicer parts of the base. I have let them run fallow. Let it go fallow, I guess, a little bit longer than I should have. And I decided I finally wanted to start building. And I like the way the base is turning out. I like this building style. I think it's going to look really cool. It wasn't initially what I thought it was, and I might do some minor modifications, try and add some more industrial looking smokestacks. It is, I mean, it's a good roof. I like this roof. I could live with this roof. I probably will live with this roof, but I might try on other buildings prototype something a bit more industrial looking. I think this is fine because this is more workshoppy rather than industrial, because that's what this is. This is a workshop. So I don't mind it being like this, but I do want like big smokestack style buildings and stuff, big smokestack style roofs, which will be something to experiment with. I'm probably still gonna try and use more of this terracotta though, just so it has uh, I guess a consistent color maybe. I don't know. That's a problem for later me. But we're making some progress. Like I said, I haven't really been doing all that much. I've only really been playing for seriously for the last week or so. Up until then, I was just playing other games and stuff, things that I felt like were probably easier on my wrists. Um, as it is right now, my wrists are pretty good, which is nice. Sorry, gotta drink some water. I've been talking for almost 20 minutes. Um, my wrists are doing better than they were before, which is very unfortunately a very low bar to beat, but it's good nonetheless. I still have to be careful about when and how long I use my hands, and I have to listen to my body and stuff, and that has helped tremendously. Realizing that when I am pushing too far and when to take a break, and also icing almost constantly. I was basically icing my wrists almost constantly for like a good 3 weeks, and that seemed to help as well. I have compression gloves, and those help a lot as well. Um, so that's been those have been helpful as well. I'm trying to think of. Oh, I started writing again as well. That's been nice. Uh, I've only it's been sort of like a fraction of what I used to. I used to do 1,000 a day, and now I try and do around 400 a day. And late last week, I just didn't write at all. My wrists hurt a lot, so I didn't try and push myself too much. Um, I have also reworked a little bit of the ergonomics of my desk. I started tenting my keyboards and raising my arms and stuff, and that's helped as well. So I've been doing a lot better. I wouldn't say I am back to full health. This is not. I I was very silly when I went into this. I made the assumption that if I just didn't use a computer for a month or really heavily cut back on how long I used a computer for entirely, that I would all of a sudden just be cured, that my wrists would be fine and I could go back the way I had living my life the way I wanted to. And the answer to that is a resounding no. This is not something that will be solved in a day or a month or a week or a week or a month or several months. This will be a long journey of making sure that I am not pushing myself too badly or of healing and stuff. Like, uh, there were a couple of times where I got really annoyed, and really felt like I wasn't ever gonna get better and that I shouldn't try. And sometimes I crashed out a little bit. Like when your whole life is on a computer and suddenly you're not allowed to play games or write or do anything on a keyboard for like when my hand at the very beginning, like the first 2 weeks, I was basically not bereft from using a keyboard for a while, and it was really bad for me. I was not happy. I was not a happy camper about it, and I've had to come to terms with the fact that this is going to be a journey. This will not be, a one and done thing. This will be something that will be a process for years, very likely. At the very least, for a year, I imagine, and I would not be surprised if it is more than a year to become better. Um, I think the other important thing is I need to decide what better is. Like I personally don't believe that my hands will ever fully go back to the way they were before I started writing a year ago. I don't believe that I will ever fully heal to that stage again. I think in some way my hands are probably more or less permanently damaged, which is really depressing at sometimes. Though the human body is capable of adapting to many things, and I've adapted to hand pain in some levels. Like I said, it's mostly about behavioral changes and stuff, and listening to when my hands are hurting, and then taking breaks and stuff. Um, so yeah, hopefully I'll be able to play more consistently and write more consistently. I just have to be a little bit more judicious about how I do both of those things. And I'm doing pretty well these days, which is nice. And in other interesting news, employment is a possibility? Question mark. I had a phone interview a couple days ago that went well, and that was nice. And that would be nice. Um, being dutifully I guess gainfully employed would mean less Minecraft and less writing, of course, which would be unfortunate. But also, I would like to be gainfully employed. That would be very nice. Um, well, I guess that's probably about all I've got. So, um, yeah. So I hope you guys have had a good, I guess, 2 months at this point. And I guess this is a pretty short video. I had enough to talk about, but not enough to talk about for very long. And I can only yap for so long about effectively 2 buildings. There hasn't really been, great strides in progress. We're still in the early HV, mid HV stuff, so obviously that means we're mostly focusing on large-scale infrastructure projects rather than great leaps in progression, like using on-demand systems to build up more on-demand systems so I can take on other challenges and stuff. Like I haven't the next big progression thing would be getting the clean room set up, and I'm still working on setting up all the infrastructure I need to auto-craft the clean room. I am not making several stacks of plascrete by hand. It's not gonna happen. Um, so, lots of infrastructure changes rather than... Man, there is a lot of stuff down there. Infrastructure changes rather than progression changes. And the progression changes are what usually are the most impactful overall, in most cases. So, yeah, not so much done, but, getting there, getting there. All right. So, like I said, I hope you guys have had a good couple of months. My months have been mixed, solidly mixed. I've had I've already talked about it, but I've had ups. I've had downs. Um, More ups than downs these couple of days, which has been nice. So, I will see you. I don't know if I will post a video next week. It entirely depends on how much I can play. Um, so I won't say next week, but let's tentatively plan for at the very least the week after that. I would like to go back to weekly videos. I really enjoyed those. But at the same time, I also have hand pain. So it is what it is. So I will see you in a week and a half, I guess.